Ba-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-dum. Rockstar X, Joel Felsenstein, we appreciate you, brother. Different, not less. Thank you for the work that you're doing with the autistic community and the neurodiverse community. I appreciate you. Joel Felsenstein is one of our sponsors tonight, Rockstar X, and we appreciate the great work that they're doing. And thank you for that wonderful intro, outro video that we use for our live shows. So thank you for that. We also have Circle of Friends. Thank you, Jason Wilson, and all the work that you're doing with Freedom Fight Expo. It is absolutely incredible. And it's really important that we talk about oncology and we are mindful of what people are going through. And tonight's conversation really ties in to that and the things that you're doing with Freedom Fight Expo. So thank you, Circle of Friends, for being a sponsor. Thank you, Jason Wilson, for all the great things that you do. Appreciate you. We also want to thank Nick, the GBW, the gifted bipolar writer you know her as on LinkedIn and other social media. She is incredible. She's about to put out a trilogy of anthologies. That's a mouthful. But I am so fortunate to be in book number 2 of the 3 and talking about that love, disdain kind of thing that I had going on with LinkedIn when I first joined the platform and that tale. But there are so many wonderful, over 30 authors that are in these 3 books. And so thank you, Nick, for being part of our show and for all the great things that you're doing. Finally, last but certainly not least, we're talking about the Hounds of Business community. The pack is running wild, and we are thrilled to be part of it. Thank you, Hounds of Business community, for supporting, for being part of our network, and for being partners with us. We thank you for everything that you do to shine a light on others and support them. So thank you for all of our sponsors. Without any further ado, let's bring up Katia Conte in the house. Thank you so much for being here. So we have a lot to talk about today. There is so much that we have to talk about, and some of it's kind of heavy. But I want to warn you in the audience, and not even warn you. I want to tell you and get you excited about the fact that you can do something. That's the great thing that you hear me talk about in multiple different places, that you can actually take action. So Katia is going to talk to you today about what she does. She is the founder of the Daniela Conte Foundation. She is running an amazing nonprofit doing incredible things for child cancer. So without any further ado, I want to give it up and give the mic over to Katia. Let her tell you about what she's doing, and we're going to take the conversation from there.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you for having me this evening. So I want to talk about a little bit about the Daniela Conte Foundation and how it started back in 2020. So back in July 24 of 2011, I gave birth to a beautiful, healthy little girl, Daniela Conte. Daniela Marie Conte was her name. I was a first-time mom. I was ecstatic that it was a girl. And my husband and I came up with the name Daniela because it was an Italian name. We came from an Italian background, so we kind of agreed with the name Daniela. Happy as can be. I was actually in labor with her for 101 hours, believe it or not. You know, I felt like she didn't want to come out into this world. But finally, after 101 hours, I actually ended up having a C-section, and she came out perfectly healthy, beautiful brown-eyed girl, hair all over. She weighed about 7 pounds, 6 inches. So she was just a joy. You know, we were happy, you know, a happy family. We had just gotten married 3 years ago. My husband and I, we wanted to start a family. And 2011, our first daughter, Daniela, was born. So fast forward back in 2013, I got pregnant again with my second child. And we had another girl named Gemma Valentina. And we were just a happy family of 4. We had this house that, that we kind of, my husband and I lived in before we got married, and we stayed there until we had our two daughters. And after that, we decided to try for a third. And lo and behold, we ended up having twin boys,
Wow.
Anthony and Matthew.
Mhm.
Anthony came out by 1 minute. They were born actually on my birthday, which was September 15th of 2015. I'm not going to give away my year though. So, we were just a happy family of six. I mean, we were just so happy. We lived in this small home. It was a cape. We had the twins living in a small bedroom, and, we were looking at a house at a time, and we found this beautiful home in a nice area with, school districts, obviously, because Daniela was starting kindergarten at the age of 5. And we found this huge home. All the kids had their own bedrooms. The boys shared their bedroom. This was in the summer of 2016. So 2 months later, when school is about to start, my oldest daughter, Daniela, ended up, starting kindergarten. Great. A month into kindergarten, she started complaining about a bellyache. She kept saying, "Mommy, my belly hurts. My belly hurts." You just don't, didn't understand where this pain was coming from. She kept complaining about her belly. So as a mom, you think like, oh my God, you cook something. She was constipated. What do? You take her to the pediatrician and they don't see nothing wrong with her. They send me back home. And then here comes a week later, and she says, "Mommy, my belly hurts." I get the calls from the schools and the teachers saying, you need to come pick her up. Her belly hurts. So fast forward, I think it was around Halloween in October of 2016. We took the kids pumpkin picking because it was like a family tradition. And my daughter, Daniela, obviously, she was like a kind of a mush. We didn't know what was wrong with her. Usually she would be active. She would be playing with her siblings, running around like a normal 5-year-old would be, right? When we get home that night, the worst thing happened. She just ended up laying dead on the floor. She collapsed basically. And we were like, oh my God, Daniela, you okay? You okay? Still complaining about, "Mommy, my belly hurts. My belly hurts." We sent her to the bathroom, obviously, to see if she had to go. And she's still complaining about a belly. So my husband at the time, who was, thank God, in the medical field, goes, "Daniela, point to Daddy. Where does it hurt?" And she starts pointing to her liver. And so when my husband felt it with his bare hands, he turns around to me and he's like, "Her liver's enlarged." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "No, her liver is enlarged. We need to send her to the emergency room now." And saying the word emergency room in front of a 5-year-old, it was like screaming bloody murder.
Right.
We had moved into a brand new home. We in a brand new neighborhood. We knew no one at the time, besides family. I had twins who had just turned 1. I had my other daughter who was 2 at the time. So what do you do? So my husband rushed her to the closest hospital here in our community. And, they ran scans overnight, PET scans, MRIs to see what was wrong with her. And I didn't hear from her, or my husband throughout the weekend. And I just wanted to be in touch and say, what are they doing? Is everything okay? You worry. It's your child, right? And then finally the test results comes back and they go to my husband and they say, "You need to rush to Children's Hospital," which was the Stony Brook Children's Hospital, which was the closest hospital here in the neighborhood. They said the scans didn't look good. We didn't know at the time what was going on. They were like, "What is going on? Like, we need answers." So we turned around and we told them, go to the closest hospital to run more tests. So this was throughout the weekend. And what happened that weekend is they ran more scans. And that Monday, I go to see her in the hospital, Jason, and I can't tell you, she's laying in the bed with kind of like a basketball inside her belly, like she was pregnant. And this is
Oh,
a 5.
wow.
And I'm like, oh my God. And I go to my husband and I said, "What is going on? Are they telling us anything?" They're like, "No, we took scans. They took a biopsy. Nothing yet." So Tuesday rolls around. I'm in the hospital. Doctors are saying, we don't have the results yet. Fast forward Wednesday morning, I see a bunch of doctors outside the hallway. And I kind of knew as a mother instinct that something was not right. And they come into the room and they said, "Can we have a word with you?" Obviously, I didn't want them to say anything in front of Daniela. I called my husband on the phone at the time. We were kind of on three-way, and they sit us in a conference room and they tell us that, we're sorry to tell you, but the test results came back and your daughter has cancer. And I said, what? And, you're kind of in a fog. And at that time,
1,000 questions. Yeah.
And then they throw this word at you, like, is it leukemia? I say, is it leukemia? Because that's more of a common cancer you hear of. And they were like, no, she has rhabdomyosarcoma. And I was like, what? And I couldn't even pronounce it. Today, right now, I always call it rhabdo for short. But rhabdomyosarcoma, it's a soft tissue cancer. It's like a cancer we have never heard of. I was like, are you sure you had the right child? Please check again. Basically, I kind of wanted to throw myself out the window because I didn't know what to do. I kind of had to remain calm. I didn't want to go back in the room with, her seeing me crying. They kind of told me, this is what she has. We have a protocol. She's going to get a port. Didn't know at the time, what a port was. They showed me what it was. She was going to go into surgery the next day because the cancer had already spread throughout her whole entire liver, and it kind of metastasized into her whole entire body. And now it kind of makes sense because her belly was all full of tumors. So that's why when I saw her that Monday going into the hospital, her belly was the size of a basketball because the tumors were already growing. Because they say, like, at the age of 5, you grow, your health grow. A child grows in the growth, and I think the tumor grows with it. So I kind of, had to go along with it. Okay, what do we do? I go to my husband, like, follow protocols. At the time, they said if you would have brought her in 2 days later, they really told us that she wasn't going to make it. They told us really right there in the hospital, if you would have brought her in 2 days later, she would have died. Straight out. So I said, let's get the port in. Let's get the treatments. They gave me this handbook that I didn't know anything about. I had to learn all these chemo protocols. There was a drug called, which I kind of call like the Red Devil, because it's kind of like, it was horrible. The harsh treatments, it was just, so I said, okay, let's, I was kind of going to be her caregiver at this time. We had a plan. We were going to have family move in and watch my other children, because you always have to worry about other children that are living with you. And how am I going to, I was a mom, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to be with my daughter in the hospital and make sure she's taken care of and she's cured while my other children are at home? Who's going to take care of them? So we kind of got rolled with the punches. She had surgery the next day. She had her Mediport in, and we started chemo. But it was a long battle. We didn't know, Jason, if we were going to come out of that hospital alive, to be honest with you, because she was on meds. She was on steroids. Just to get the tumor down, because it was kind of spreading at the time. And we wanted to make sure the protocol for this type of tumor and cancer was working. And it did. We were in there for kind of 6 weeks because we couldn't bring her home. The belly had the tumor had to sub down. And it did. The protocols were working. The treatments were working. They were very, very, very harsh treatments. I would come home one day and I would Google what these are. And I'm just like, oh, my God. Is this really meant for this type of cancer? I mean, this is crazy that my daughter is getting this type of treatment in order to survive. So we did it. She was an outpatient. I took her to the clinic every year, every day to get her treatments, PET scans, MRIs to make sure that the tumors were shrinking, and they were shrinking. Thank God. So after 6 months, 6 weeks of being in the hospital, we were actually able to come home right before Thanksgiving. And you have to remember now, this is a 5-year-old who just started kindergarten, right? A month into kindergarten, and then going into a hospital, waking up with hair falling out of a pillow, putting steroids in a 5-year-old body, and waking up not knowing what is happening to her. We actually had to explain to her what cancer was. It was hard. It was hard telling her that she had cancer, but we had to tell her that it was okay, that she was going to be okay because mom and dad are going to be there. And she had to grow up. She had to grow up really fast. We showed videos of other children who had this type of disease. And, she was like, wow, I am now not the only child who has gone through this. So fast forward 6 weeks later, we come home, we celebrate Thanksgiving. She's a normal child. She couldn't go back to school. Obviously, she had to be homeschooled. And fast forward a year later, Jason, she was actually declared cancer-free.
Oh, wow.
She was declared cancer-free. She did the protocol treatments for a year. She had to do PET scans and MRIs. And I can't tell you, we were like happy as can be as a family that we actually beat this monster, a cancer that we have never heard of in our entire life. The treatment protocols, they were brutal, Jason. You look these treatments up and it's like, oh my God, side effects that you read online. It's heart problems, infertility problems. It was scary.
Yeah,
It was
I can only
scary
imagine.
it was scary that she had to fight for her life and she did it. She was a tough cookie, my daughter, and she did it. She did it for a year and we were so proud of her. So obviously when I wouldn't say cancer-free, when she was declared cancer-free, obviously you have to go back to the hospital to get scans and MRIs to make sure that the cancer obviously does not come back. Right. So fast forward 3 months into this being cancer-free, we go to the hospital to get checked up. We get scans and MRIs, and then we get a call from the doctor a year later. This was, I think, maybe in November of 2017. And they tell me, her oncology doctor tells me that, I'm sorry to tell you, but your daughter's cancer is back. And I go, what? And they're like, sorry to tell you, but your daughter's cancer is back, and it's rhabdomyosarcoma again. And it's worse than it was before. And I'm going back and sitting and I'm like, we just did a whole year of treatment. How can this be? She went through every single treatment, every protocol that you guys had told us to do. And now you're telling me that her cancer is back. And if you look up rhabdomyosarcoma online, it's like a 40% survival rate. When we say cancer is rare, we're talking about cancers that it's, rhabdomyosarcoma or rhabdomyosarcoma, those are the rare cancers because childhood cancer is not rare. And when you look it up, it's a 40% chance of survival rate. And there's a good chance that the cancer comes back if it's anti-chemo resistant. Obviously, this happened with Daniela. And we had to go through a second year, another round of chemo for a whole year. But they said this time she had to be hospitalized. I couldn't bring her as an outpatient in the clinic. So I said, oh my God, like, how are we going to do this? Like, pack a bag, stay in the hospital for a month. We actually had to tell Daniela once again, that her cancer, how do you tell a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old at the time that her cancer was back again? And that this time we have to pack our bags and we have to go to the hospital because mommy doesn't have all the equipment here in the home. So
did she feel worse during that time period when they declared that her?
She felt great. It's so weird because she felt great. She was being homeschooled. She went on play dates, most of the time when her counts were good and she was able to play and be around her, her friends who wanted to come and visit. She felt great. There were no signs. So it's hard at the time when I'm visioning it, when they told me this, it's like, how can this be? How can this cancer come back again? And you have to remember that this was a cancer with a vengeance, like vengeance. It's like, what do you do to have it to take it down? Like in the long run, I felt like, the cancer was only prolonging her life. It wasn't saving her life. So fast forward, the second year, we went to the hospital. We would stay there for months and weeks, and we did it. To be honest with you, Jason, the second time around, the protocols almost killed her. She had, for a month, she couldn't speak. She had flesh coming out of her throat. I would go to the hospital every day and rub her feet because she just couldn't talk because of the harsh treatments. And she kept saying, Mommy, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, but she fought. She fought, Jason, like no other 5-year-old would. And she beat it. She went on for a year. We kept telling her, it's okay, Danielle, you don't have to go through this. It's okay. Mommy's here. I was there and I saw it all. She was on steroids, fentanyl patches. I had to change her fentanyl patches every
Wow.
3 months for pain. I would go to my pharmacy, my local pharmacy, and I would have to pick it up. And people thought that I was using it. And I said, what? They kept asking me, what is this for? And I said, this is for my daughter. She has cancer. And they came around the counter and they hugged me. They were like, oh my God, like who's ever heard of a 6-year-old on a fentanyl patch? I actually had to put, there's people that die from that, even by having a fentanyl on a towel. There's been stories where children have died by just sniffing a towel from fentanyl. So I had to make sure I had gloves on, to take off the strip and actually place it on her back for pain. That was brutal, even seeing that. So she did it. She did it for a year, and I have to say she beat it. She beat it, and she was declared cancer-free a second time. She was able to go back to school. She, was able to see her friends when she was able to. She made her moving up ceremony in 2nd grade. She was able to make her first Holy Communion. She was happy. She was like, oh my God, Mommy, I did this again. We were jumping up and down for joy. She had a Make-A-Wish, she had a wish, and it was to go to Disney World. So we did that as a family. A year later, all of us went to Disney World, and it was like the best time. She was so happy we beat this, even though it was hard. It was hard to see her in the hospital, her not coming home and FaceTiming her siblings. It was hard. My little one's asking, Mommy, when is Mommy coming home? Is she okay? We would FaceTime with Daniela and her siblings, because sometimes it was hard for them to see her in a hospital bed, and she didn't want to see her siblings, her in that kind of state. So my husband would take turns. I would be there with her during the day. My husband will work during the day, come home at night from the city. I would leave at night so I can spend more time with my children and tuck them to bed and bring them, and read them bedtime stories and, put them on the bus the next day. My husband would come home, shower, get a change of clothes, and go be with her the next day, because she didn't want to be alone. Obviously, even though we had great nurses with her, the hospital was great, I have to say. We always wanted to sit, a parent with her. So we were with her almost throughout the entire course of her journey of the treatments. So fast forward back into 2000 and I believe in 19. She starts a new school. She starts 3rd grade. She goes for scans, obviously, every 3 months. And here we are. Fast forward, we get a call from the doctor, and the doctor says, I'm sorry to tell you the cancer is back. And the cancer is back for a third time. But meanwhile, it's not back. It's not all over her body. It's only certain spots. So I go to these doctors and I said, well, what do we have to do now? We exhausted all chemo treatments. What is our plan at this point? Because there were only 3 spots that showed tumors, and there was no option for surgery, Jason, at the time for her, because they said that there was one tumor that was so close to the kidney that if they would have operated on her, she would have died on the table. They told us flat out. So I said, okay. So they said, let's do some kind of radiation, because she also did kind of radiation, and it's kind of called a microablation, where you kind of microwave. It's so weird, like where you kind of microwave the tumor to a certain degree and you kind of kill it, but you have to get it in a certain spot. So they had a surgeon at the time here out in Long Island who actually came to do this procedure for her, just for her. She has just a unique case, and no one has ever done this. So they actually had a surgeon come out just for her to do this. And he actually did the radiation on her. He kind of killed it and microwaved it, and it was good. She felt fine. She was great. We were going to monitor it. We weren't going to do any more chemo, because she kind of exhausted all chemo at that time. Like what is there left to do at this point, right? Because it was kind of deteriorating in her body. She went from being 150 pounds almost down to 80 pounds. There would be times where, I had trouble with feeding her, because one day she loved pizza and nuggets, and one day she didn't like pizza and nuggets, because you have to understand these chemo treatments kind of change, they change your taste buds. Right.
I imagine they change a lot of your body.
They lie. Yes. It's like one day she didn't like this. And so it's like, okay. So it's like, you also have to figure out, like, what do you do? Like, what do you feed her every day? And it was all from the chemo protocol treatments. They were brutal on a 5-year-old. We're talking about adult chemo on a 5-year-old body that she kind of,
it's the same treatments and
it's the same treatments. So if you look up the treatment protocol for rhabdomyosarcoma, it's chemo treatments that were outdated from 40 years ago. And I was like, how can this be that there is no treatment options for children, especially for rhabdomyosarcoma, for this type of cancer? And, I kind of did my homework, and it's kind of a shame that, that there hasn't been any drug developed for this particular cancer and other rare cancers too, right? Because I come from a background of pharma. Pharma does not want to invest in rare cancers. So it kind of comes to private foundations like the Daniela Conte Foundation that we established in 2020 when Daniela passed away, obviously, to fund this type of drug so that other children that will be diagnosed now and in the future will have better treatment options available for them, and not what my daughter had to go through. So going back to my daughter's story, Jason, the surgeon performed the surgery on her, and it worked. But I would say in December of 2019, you kind of could see like she was changing a lot. She had like discoloration in her eyes. She was sleeping a lot. I would call the doctors and I would bring her in. I'm like, can you just see my daughter, see what's going on? Like, something's not right. And in the new year, she seemed fine, but it's kind of like the tumor, I would have to say, was just growing and growing and growing. The one that was kind of next to her kidney that they couldn't operate, it was just growing and growing, and there was nothing that we could have done. There's nothing that we could have done, there were no more protocol treatments left. I kind of called other sarcoma specialists in the country to see if they could see her. And they said, sorry, we can't see her. You've already been treated. What do you do when you run out of options? You try to go all over the world. I was willing to take her to St. Jude. I was willing to take her to MD Anderson. Like, please just see my daughter because I want to save her. What do you do? Like, it's just, when doctors said there was nothing left more we can do for your child, and when she was dying in the hospital and when she had fluid all over her body, it's like, what do you do, Jason? What do you do when you went through every single protocol, right? And then at the end, when doctors tell you, I'm sorry to tell you, there's nothing left that we can do, and you see your daughter dying, it's like, what do you do?
Yes, you were calling people from all different hospitals and for all different specialists, and nobody could help you.
I was willing to travel all over the country, to be honest with you, to see what they can do, or even see my daughter at the time. But you have to remember, she was kind of deteriorating at this time. We're talking about Valentine's Day, because she died in March of 2020. Unfortunately, the tumor was too aggressive. There was too aggressive. Her organs were basically failing. Her belly was just growing and growing, and she became very tired. So we kind of I brought her to the hospital in early February during Valentine's Day. And we kind of rushed her to the emergency room because, her fluids, she needed fluids. She was dehydrated. She was just like not herself. And I said, please see my daughter, see what you can do. And she was in the ICU for about a week. They hydrated her very well. We kept her comfortable. And then she was actually able to go back to the regular oncology floor where she was able to recognize her nurses, where she would get treatments and stuff. And, we thought she was going to make it. I'm going to be honest with you. We had hospice come into the room, and I kind of ripped up the card because I was kind of in denial, Jason. When you see your daughter beat this 3 times and you have hospice come and say, we're here. And I said, no, I said, she's going to beat this. I just said, please leave my room. I want to be with my daughter. What do you do? When you're kind of in a state of denial. And my husband kind of knew at the time what was happening, and he saw the numbers drop and it didn't look good. So we kind of took turns being with her in the hospital. You have to remember, this was kind of in March, when COVID was already in the United States. And it was just crazy. Unfortunately, she didn't beat this disease before time. She ended up passing away in my husband's arms while I was on my way to see her. on March 2nd, 2020. She ended up passing away in my husband's arms in the hospital.
I'm so sorry.
So I was on my way to her. So I think because she knew I didn't like when she saw me cry, I think she kind of knew that it was her time to go. I did speak to her in the hospital on my phone and told her that, when my husband called me and said, this doesn't look good. Things don't look good here in the hospital. You need to come here quickly, because I was on my way to see her. I was. I just said, just please put her on the phone. I want to talk to her. And I said, Daniela, this is mommy. I said, I just want to let you know that I love you very much. Don't ever forget that. I hang in there. I'm going to come see you. And her last words, were, I love you too, mommy. And that was it. And you can just hear in her voice that she was just, not all there. Very tired, Jason. Very tired, very tired. I ended up going, seeing her, but it was kind of too late. She, like I said, she ended up passing away in my husband's arms. So fast forward, she passed away on March 2nd, 2020. And this was right before COVID hit. And luckily we were able to do a family burial and stuff, and to, put her at peace, to say our goodbyes. And we couldn't hold like a church ceremony because of COVID. They had to close, the whole world was shut down in diocese. So we kind of had to do that 6 months later, which was good, which was okay. So when she ended up passing away, Jason, this was, you have to remember, this was back in 2016 of October when she was diagnosed, and she passed away in 2020. This was 4 years. This wasn't 4 months. So when the whole world shut down, when COVID entered the United States and we were on lockdown for kind of 4 months, if I recall, I kind of went to my husband. I said, you know what? I said, I want to start a foundation in her name. I said, I promised her that I would do everything in my power to share her story with the community and beyond. And she also mentioned while she was sick in the hospital that she wanted to kind of help other children that are now going through this. So I granted her wishes, and I kind of told my husband, let's get our attorney on the phone and start a 501c3 immediately. And believe it or not, we kind of received our 501c3 status 4 months later, like in July. It was like, oh my God. So it was kind of quick. So we kind of I put up a quick website up, we couldn't really do fundraising. So our mission when we started this foundation, Jason, is we financially assist families who are going through a financial hardship while their child is in active treatment for cancer. Because we know we lived it with the financial aspect of it too, right? So our mission is we financially assist families who are going through a financial hardship while their child is in active treatment for cancer. So meaning that, when a child's diagnosed with cancer, right, both parents either have to be on the bedside, like me and my husband were. One either has to quit their job, one income is coming in, right? Bills are being piled up, have to get paid. So what do these families do? They started a GoFundMe page. We had a really great friend of ours of the family who started a GoFundMe page to help us with medical bills, groceries, childcare, you name it, because this is not that the hospital reimburses you for. When a parent has one income coming in, what do? So that's kind of now when we stepped in as a nonprofit and kind of alleviate some of those financial hardships. So we have helped Jason within those 4 years, families pay their mortgage, their rent, their utilities to keep the lights on, food on the table, transportation to take the child to treatment, because we know how expensive gas can be nowadays, right? Childcare, where they have other children at home. Like a lot of people don't realize when a child's diagnosed with cancer, all of this adds up. So that's kind of one program that we kind of created, which is the financial assistance program. Another program that we support here at DCF is the Memorial Assistance Program, because unfortunately there are still children that are still dying from cancer. And it's a sad thing, just like my daughter, Daniela. So we kind of work with the funeral homes here closely in New York and Long Island to kind of alleviate that burial bill, whether it's a plaque, an urn, or whatever the case may be. We also raise a lot of awareness, not just for rhabdomyosarcoma, but for all cancers. September is a big month for us here, as some of the people around the world don't know that September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And the color that we use to raise awareness is gold. And the reason why we go gold is because there's a story behind this. And it's, believe it or not, back in 1996, there were a band of parents whose children were diagnosed with cancer. And because of their bravery and their resiliency, right, they came up with this color gold. So it's kind of stood with them. And now every September, we go gold for childhood cancer. So
with the golden shoelaces, right?
Yes. So in September, we are actually doing our second annual campaign, which is the Go Gold Shoelace campaign, where we actually give out about 10,000 gold shoelaces to every athletic sports team here in our high school community. We actually have partnered up with about 30 high schools here in the community to help us go gold. And last year was our actual first year that we came up with this campaign. And they're just regular gold shoelaces. And what you do, you just swap out your regular laces with your gold laces, and you just help us raise awareness. You know, we had the soccer team, the football team, we had gold out games in the stands, you know, the kids cheering, you know, we're trying to bring a lot of awareness in the schools, in the schools in the community also, because they don't know about childhood cancer. You know, when I go and I do all these lectures and talks and I say, does anybody know why we go gold in September? Nobody raised their hand, Jason, nobody. But when I say, you know, why do we go pink in October? Everybody in that auditorium raised their hand and said pink. So I said, oh my goodness. I was like, how can you not know about childhood cancer? You know, we kind of lived it and this touches home. So now we want to bring the awareness out there. And this is our second year doing this campaign. So we are actually giving away another 10,000 gold shoelaces in September. This is also, you can order these on our website also. You can just place an order. We can send them to you. If you want to make a donation, great. You know, every donation that we receive into this foundation goes to financially support families who are going through a financial diagnosis, financial hardship. We also raise a lot of awareness, and we also fund research, you know, not all cancers, but just the cancer that my daughter passed away from, obviously Rhabdomyosarcoma, because there is very little lack of funding. A very important fact is, I don't know if our audience knows, or if you know, only 4%, that means only 4 pennies of government funding goes to childhood cancer. And the 96% of that goes to adult cancers. Why? I don't know. You know, I do a lot of advocacy here in September. You know, I was asked to speak at the White House last year, but didn't get a chance to go. But hopefully I'll get invited this year to share my daughter's story, to bring more awareness for this disease, because it's just not rare. Every day, 47 children are diagnosed with cancer. Just keep that in mind. 47 children are diagnosed with cancer. That's 2 classrooms filled with children. And 1 out of 5 children will end up dying because they've run out of treatment options. So Daniela didn't really die of the cancer. You know, if you listen to her story, she really died because of lack of treatment options. You know, doctors told us there was nothing left more we can do for your child. Go home and make memories. That was kind of unacceptable to be as a mother. So this is why I had 2 choices in life, you know, either to stay numb or to go out there, as much as it hurts, to go out there and share her story, you know, with the community and beyond, right? So that this doesn't have to happen to somebody else later down the road. So I am proud to say that we've only been in inception for 4 years, and I'm just so proud that we have been able to help over 500 families with financial assistance. That goes to show you that child cancer is not rare. You know, we are providing hope for these families. We have kept people in their homes. We have kept people keep their lights on so that they don't have to worry about where this money is going to be coming from, right, throughout the month. So we're here basically to say, hey, you know, we've got you. We got your mortgage covered. We got your rent covered. You know, your car payment, your phone bill, go and be with your child, because that's basically what it is. You know, they don't have to worry about these families where the money from the rent is going to be coming out of, when there's only one income coming in, when their child is being diagnosed and you know, trying to survive.
Now, have you guys connected? Are you connected at all with places like Ronald McDonald House? Or
yes, well, Ronald McDonald House is mostly the families that come out, that have to get treatments. Like we have a huge Ronald McDonald House in our community, but those are for the families that come from out of state, whether it's from like North Carolina or South Carolina,
Right.
Florida, that need better treatment options. They come and stay here, obviously for months and weeks. But yes, we have done a lot of things with the Ronald McDonald House. We also do care packages, believe it or not. We do butterfly boxes, and they're just special care packages for boys and girls. It's like coloring books, crayons, Legos, stickers, something to put a smile on a child's face, because you have to remember these children are getting treatments, right? And they're staying in the hospital months, weeks, at a time. So they get bored sometimes. So just to get a package from someone that says, hey, we're here, this is for you, we're here with you on this fight. You're not alone. Just brings a smile to their face. So we do that too. We also collect a lot of gift cards, and we're doing a holiday gift card around the Christmas time. We don't do toys, but we do gift cards because we feel like the families need it the most, especially for gas or for food. A $50 gift card or a $25 gift card just goes a long way for a family who needs to travel back and forth to treatment. We lived it. We know what it's like. So it's now like our turn to say, hey, we lived this journey and we're here to help you. And we're just so proud. This foundation is only going to continue to grow. I feel like my daughter has been behind this whole organization from the very beginning. It's hard to say that I feel like she has, her voice is telling me to say, hey, mommy, go out there and share my story so that this doesn't have to happen to somebody else. It's weird. And I feel like she was just a strong cookie here. And I feel like she's a strong cookie up there, giving me guidance. And look how many families, she has helped us help because of her.
It's absolutely incredible the amount of work that you've done in such a short period of time. So we've been running during the entire show. We've been running your website down below. We also have included your links, and we'll include them again as we break this up and put this out. Thank you, Kelly. And thank you all the people that showed up this evening. We appreciate you very much. Sharon, Dr. Nude, Jody, the Hounds of Business. There are multiple people from the Hounds. And we know that other people will see this afterwards as we start to put it on other platforms. But just out of curiosity, is going to your website the best way to reach out so that people can get involved?
Yeah, if they want to help or get involved in their community, or if they want to donate, please go to our website. You can find all the links on the bottom there as it's scrolling. We're also on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We have been very transparent where our donations go every year. We share stories. We share stories of families and children that our donors are allowing us to support each year. So when you see faces of children and the testimonials of the families, that goes to show you that we're making a difference and we're making an impact because of our support from our donors. And you have to show the awareness, because if you don't show the awareness, I always say, how are you ever going to bring change into this world, right? We have to go out there and fight big battles, because who else isn't? It's unfortunate that this happened to Daniela and my daughter. And I'm hoping one day, the work that we do, hopefully one day a child who will be diagnosed with rhabdomyosarcoma, and particularly, will have better treatment options than my daughter did and deserved. So,
it's absolutely incredible the work that you're doing. We will get this out to more and more people. I thank everybody for coming here tonight, and please make sure that you reach out to Katia, and that you go to the website, get yourself some of those golden shoelaces. And also you have a gala coming up, right? So when is that?
So a couple of things I didn't talk about. I don't know if we have more time. So if people are wondering how we raise our money, is we have 3 major events a year. And our last event of the year is our 4th annual gala here. It's happening here in New York on Long Island. It's Saturday, October 19th. Anybody can come and support. You can find more information on our website under events. It's our 4th annual gala. The money that we raise obviously will go help more families in the community and beyond, and support our vital programs and research. So please, if anybody wants to make a donation, everything is found on our website. And it's Saturday, October 19th.
19th. Okay.
And it's the 4th annual gala.
All right.
And everything can be found on our website too. We've gotten grants for our work. The community has fundraised for us. The schools have fundraised for us. And I feel like we've been very blessed in the last 4 years. So I'm very, very fortunate. And I'm just so proud of what I've done in my daughter's name. And hopefully we will continue to impact more lives as more families turn to us for help.
Well, it's incredible the work that you've done, and it's very impressive and it's very inspiring. So thank you very much for coming and telling people your story. And I know that can't be difficult. It can't be easy even after 4 years to say it over and over again. But thank you so much for what you're doing and how you shine a light in your daughter's name. And thank you for being on the show and telling people about what you do. And I hope that we can bring a whole bunch more people over to what you're doing and get some more donations for you and bring more awareness. So we will continue to share this through the course of this week and let more people that weren't able to come to the live see it. But thank you so much for being here this evening. You are on the People Community event, and our whole idea behind this is creating a space where people can talk about how they're making a difference. Obviously, Katia Conte is making a huge difference. And thank you so much for everybody being here tonight. We will catch you next time. Take care.